Jamie isn't the real villain of Yellowstone Season 5. The Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 premiere finally reveals the real villain of the neo-western's final season. And it isn't Jamie Wes Bentley. The second half of Season 5 wastes no time presenting the mystery of John Dutton's fate in Yellowstone after Kevin Costner's exit, with Beth Kelly Rayleigh arriving at a hectic crime scene at the governor's mansion. John Dutton's death was staged as a suicide, and while Beth doesn't believe it, Case, Luke Grimes, and his sister begin to mourn the death of their father regardless. We learn Beth is right, and someone is behind John's death. One of the most prominent suspects in John Dutton's death is Jamie, his adopted son, who moved to impeach John in the Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1 finale. Still, when the Attorney General of Montana makes the official announcement that the governor is dead, as is his duty, he can hardly get the words out because he's so upset by the news. The moment shows that Jamie grieves the loss of his father and that the news comes as a surprise. Thus, Jamie isn't the real villain of Yellowstone Season 5, but his hands aren't clean of John's death either. Sarah Atwood, Dawn Olivieri, is the real villain of Yellowstone Season 5's cast. The second half of Season 5 reveals that Sarah has a discreet meeting with a company that plans assassinations, discussing the details to end John Dutton's life. Before the meeting, Sarah has to remove her shoes and jewelry and leave all the accessories in a bin, suggesting the severity of the meeting and the precision with which the company operates. The scene suggests that Sarah was serious about taking out John Dutton, with the show flashing back 6 weeks to depict what led to the event. Sarah's decision to take out the governor was no stretch of the imagination. Sarah is a highly skilled litigator and a Trojan horse for market equities, called in to manipulate the situation to the company's advantage after Joan is elected as Montana's governor and cuts funding to the airport. Market Equities has billions of dollars riding on their developments in Montana, and Sarah is brought in to protect that. She begins a romantic relationship with Jamie to convince him that his father needs to go covertly. Sarah tells him she can help him become governor, and they can succeed together. Jamie is in an unfortunate position in Season 5, and while he finally gets what he wants, it would be a stretch to say that the character is feeling happy. What Jamie wants more than anything is his father's approval. It's why he is so defensive of his career as a lawyer. He believes his father hates him for it, but he did it to please him. Jamie is frustrated throughout Yellowstone, wanting to advance and create his own life outside his father's shadow, but desperately needing his father's guidance and validation. Thus, Jamie uses others to fight John. Sarah took advantage of Jamie's weakness. Sarah notices Jamie's crestfallen appearance when John wins the Montana governorship, and she says that compromising Jamie is where she will start dismantling John Dutton's power. Sarah successfully infiltrates Jamie's trust, becoming his romantic partner. Sarah is just another person using Jamie, making him the victim in some ways. But it's a dynamic that Jamie leans into in all his relationships. Jamie desires to be Montana's governor outside his father's shadow and agrees to Sarah's plan, hence the title of the Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 premiere. Desire is all you need. Jamie is a complex character, torn between his desire to live outside his father's shadow and a deep-seated need for his father's approval throughout that process. As such, Jamie's holdup was always that he defined progress in terms of his father's needs rather than his own, so Jamie couldn't act for himself or commit to which side he was on. Now that John is out of the picture, Jamie can clear his mind about what he wanted all along and what he is fighting for. Jamie's allegiance has been murky throughout Yellowstone, so there's still room for redemption. Redemption would come at a high cost. Jamie clarified that he was working against their family when he impeached his father from office with Sarah's help. Beth would not forgive Jamie easily, and he would have to sacrifice everything he has for his family and the ranch to regain his siblings' favor. As Montana's next governor, Jamie is in a position to help Beth and Case more than anyone. He has one more chance to prove his allegiance in Yellowstone. Still, while redemption is possible, there's also a chance that Beth will succeed in killing Jamie. When it comes to Yellowstone Season 5, it's easy to label Jamie Dutton as the series' ultimate antagonist. He's the adopted son who seems forever at odds with his family, a politician who manipulates situations to his advantage, and a man whose actions often leave viewers questioning his integrity. However, to brand Jamie as the real villain oversimplifies his character and overlooks the deeper complexities of the Dutton family dynamics. If anything, Jamie is more of a tragic figure caught in a web of power, betrayal, and generational trauma, rather than the true villain of the series. From the very beginning, Jamie has struggled with his place within the Dutton family. Unlike Case, the rugged cowboy and war hero, or Beth, the whip-smart and ruthless businesswoman, Jamie has always felt like an outsider. His adoption into the family gave him the Dutton name, but not the unconditional acceptance that comes with it. John Dutton, the family patriarch, has never shown Jamie the same warmth and pride he bestows on Case and Beth. This lack of belonging has shaped Jamie's choices and motivations throughout the series, driving him to prove his worth in ways that often backfire. One of the key reasons Jamie is perceived as a villain is his tumultuous relationship with Beth. Their feud reached new levels of animosity in Season 5, with Beth's venomous attacks leaving little room for reconciliation. But it's important to consider the root of their conflict. Jamie's decision to take Beth to an abortion clinic as a teenager, resulting in her sterilization without her consent, is undoubtedly reprehensible. However, it's worth noting that Jamie was a young man acting under pressure, influenced by his own fears and misunderstandings of the situation. His mistake was catastrophic, but it stemmed from immaturity and lack of guidance rather than malice. Meanwhile, Beth's unrelenting campaign to destroy Jamie's life speaks to her own pain, but also highlights the Dutton family's toxic cycle of vengeance. Season 5 also delves deeper into Jamie's political ambitions, painting him as a power-hungry opportunist. Yet his aspirations are not purely self-serving. Jamie's desire to carve out a name for himself outside of his father's shadow is a natural response to years of feeling undervalued and overlooked. Unlike John, whose approach to power is rooted in tradition and legacy, Jamie views politics as a means to effect change and secure his own identity. His alliance with market equities may seem like a betrayal, but it's also a pragmatic move in a world where survival often demands compromise. Jamie's actions are not driven by a desire to destroy the Duttons, but by a desperate need to prove that he is more than just an accessory to their empire. Moreover, Jamie's relationship with his biological father, Garrett Randall, further complicates the narrative. Garrett's influence on Jamie is both manipulative and empowering. For the first time, Jamie feels seen and valued as an individual, which stands in stark contrast to his treatment by John. Garrett's toxic ideology and criminal past make him an undeniably harmful presence, but his role in Jamie's life sheds light on the emotional void Jamie has carried for years. In seeking a connection with Garrett, Jamie is not betraying the Duttons so much as he is searching for the unconditional love he's always lacked. If there's a true villain in Yellowstone, it's the system of power and greed that the Dutton family both fights against and perpetuates. The battle over the Yellowstone Ranch is not just a fight for land. It's a fight for identity, legacy, and survival. John Dutton's relentless pursuit of preserving the ranch at all costs has often placed his family in moral gray areas. From orchestrating murders to covering up crimes, John's methods are far from heroic. His unwavering commitment to the ranch comes at the expense of his children's well-being, forcing them into roles that perpetuate the cycle of violence and betrayal. Beth, too, is not without her faults. Her sharp wit and fierce loyalty to her father make her a fan favorite, but her vendetta against Jamie often crosses the line into cruelty. Her willingness to manipulate and destroy anyone who threatens the Dutton legacy mirrors the very traits that make John a controversial figure. Case, while often portrayed as the moral compass of the family, has also made questionable decisions in the name of loyalty. These complexities highlight that the Duttons are not heroes or villains in the traditional sense, but flawed individuals navigating an unforgiving world.